In 1998, two psychologists ran an experiment that changed everything we thought we knew about money. They gave two groups of people the exact same amount of money. Same amount. Same instructions. The only difference was this. One group was told the money was a bonus. The other group was told the same amount was a rebate for losses. The bonus group spent almost all of it. The rebate group saved most of it. Same money. Completely different behavior. Because the human brain doesn't process money logically. It processes money emotionally. And those emotions are almost always working against you. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't a cultural problem. This isn't something that happens to weak people or uneducated people. It happens to doctors, lawyers, engineers, and MBAs. It happens to people who can solve differential equations but still can't figure out why their bank account keeps emptying itself. The reason is something called behavioral economics, the science of how human psychology sabotages human financial decisions. And here's the thing. Once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. You will start noticing these patterns everywhere. In your own spending, in your family's decisions, in the way financial products are designed to exploit exactly these weaknesses. I've spent the last 3 years studying why smart, hard-working South Asian families, people who came to this country with nothing and built real businesses and real careers, still end up financially fragile. And again, the answer isn't what I expected. It wasn't the economy. It wasn't discrimination. It wasn't bad luck. It was the brain. Specifically, 6 mental traps that quietly drain wealth from people who deserve to keep it. Today, we're going to dismantle all 6 of them. The first trap is called loss aversion. And it is the most powerful financial force most people have never heard of. In 1979, psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, who would later win the Nobel Prize in Economics, discovered something extraordinary. Losing money hurts approximately twice as much as gaining the same amount feels good. Not a little more. Twice as much. The pain of losing 100 pounds is psychologically equivalent to the pleasure of gaining 200 pounds. Think about what that means for your financial decisions. It means you hold on to bad investments too long because selling them makes the loss feel real. It means you keep money in a savings account earning 1% interest rather than investing it because the possibility of investment loss feels more threatening than the certainty of inflation silently eating your savings. It means you avoid starting a business, negotiating a salary raise, or making any financial move that involves any chance of failure, even when the expected outcome is strongly positive. For South Asian families specifically, loss aversion is amplified by something even deeper, the memory of scarcity. If you or your parents experienced genuine financial hardship, and many immigrant families did, your brain has been rewired to treat financial risk as an existential threat, not an abstract probability, a real, visceral danger. This is survival programming. It kept your ancestors alive during genuinely dangerous times. But here's the problem. In the modern financial world, this same programming is costing you a fortune. The money sitting in your current account because it feels safer is losing purchasing power to inflation every single day. The investment you're too scared to make is growing in someone else's portfolio right now. Knowing this trap exists is the first step to escaping it. Here is a question. Would you rather have 100 pounds today or 110 pounds in 1 month? Most people, even people who understand finance intellectually, choose the 100 pounds today. And that impulse, that consistent preference for immediate rewards over greater future rewards is called present bias. And it is systematically destroying wealth across every income level. Here's how it plays out in real life. You get a bonus at work. The rational decision, the one your future self desperately wants you to make, is to invest at least half of it. But your present self has been stressed for months. Your present self wants a holiday. Your present self spots a limited time offer on something you've wanted for 2 years. And your present self wins almost every time. Because your present self is real and vivid and immediate, while your future self is abstract and distant and theoretical. This is not laziness. This is not a lack of discipline. This is how every human brain is wired. We are evolutionary creatures built for immediate threats and immediate rewards. The concept of compound interest over 30 years is genuinely alien to our neurology in a way that the smell of a good meal is not. The research on present bias is overwhelming. A Harvard study found that people consistently underestimate how much their future selves will care about current decisions. We treat our future selves almost like strangers, making promises to them we would never make to ourselves today. The practical solution isn't willpower. Willpower is unreliable, exhaustible, and heavily influenced by stress, which immigrants experience in abundance. The solution is automation. Removing the decision entirely. Paying your future self first before your present self even sees the money. We'll come back to exactly how to do that. In 2018, researchers at the University of Chicago analyzed the spending behavior of lottery winners' neighbors. And they found something remarkable. When someone on a street won the lottery and visibly upgraded their lifestyle, their neighbors, who had won nothing, immediately increased their own spending. On cars. On renovations. On things they couldn't actually afford. And within 3 years, those neighbors had significantly higher debt and significantly higher rates of bankruptcy. They didn't get richer. Their neighbor got richer. But their spending responded as if they had. This is social comparison bias. And in South Asian communities, it operates with particular intensity. The community gathering where someone mentions their child got into medical school. The WhatsApp group where your cousin's new house renovation gets 200 fire emojis. The family wedding where the quality of your suit is noticed and discussed. These are not subtle social pressures. They are constant, omnipresent financial signals that say, spend more, show more, be more visible. Ed Project 1183554. And the cruel mathematics of social comparison is this. The people you're trying to impress are simultaneously trying to impress you. Everyone is spending beyond their means to signal wealth to people who are also spending beyond their means to signal wealth. It's a collective financial arms race in which nobody wins except the people selling the cars and the clothes and the wedding venues. The research is clear. The single strongest predictor of financial well-being is not income. It is the difference between income and expenditure. A person earning $40,000 a year and saving 20% is building wealth. A person earning $140,000 and saving nothing is on a treadmill. The neighbor who just renovated their kitchen may be doing it on a credit card that will cost them twice the renovation in interest over the next 5 years. Let me tell you about the most expensive lesson in recent financial history. In 2020 and 2021, a wave of retail investors flooded into the stock market. Platforms like Robinhood made investing feel like a game. Cryptocurrencies were turning ordinary people into paper millionaires overnight. Finance TikTok was full of 22-year-olds explaining how they'd found the secret to wealth. And millions of people, many of them first-time investors, piled in with real money. By late 2022, the average retail investor in that wave had lost approximately 30% of their portfolio. The crypto investors lost significantly more. Some lost everything. This is overconfidence bias, the very human tendency to believe we are better than average at things we are not. Studies consistently show that roughly 80% of people rate themselves as above-average drivers. Obviously, that's mathematically impossible. The same pattern appears in investing. When markets are going up, it feels like skill. When they come down, it suddenly feels like bad luck. For South Asians who have succeeded in their careers through genuine hard work and intelligence, overconfidence has a particular flavor. If you're a successful engineer or doctor or entrepreneur, you have real evidence that you are smarter than average in your field. That confidence, which is completely earned and deserved in your area of expertise, has a tendency to bleed into areas where you don't have expertise. Investing is not like being a doctor. The rules are completely different. In medicine, more effort and more knowledge almost always produces better outcomes. In investing, more trading almost always produces worse outcomes. More confidence almost always produces more risk. The antidote is not doubt. It's humility in specific places, and a very boring, very consistent, very unsexy investment strategy that I'll show you shortly. Here is a trap that is almost embarrassingly simple, and yet it catches nearly everyone. When you see a jacket marked down from 400 pounds to 160 pounds, you feel like you're saving 240 pounds. But you're not saving anything. You're spending 160 pounds. The original price, the anchor, has completely distorted your perception of value. This is anchoring bias, and it is one of the most aggressively exploited psychological vulnerabilities in the entire retail and financial industry. Think about the last time you bought something on sale. Did you buy it because you needed it, or because the discount made it feel like a deal? Think about the last time you negotiated a salary. Whatever number your employer said first, that became the anchor. Everything you negotiated from that point was calibrated against their number, not against your actual market value. The financial industry uses anchoring constantly. The suggested retail price exists to make the actual price feel reasonable. The regular management fee of 2% is presented against an anchor of, but look at the potential returns. The 30-year mortgage payment is anchored against the alternative of renting forever. For immigrants specifically, there is another anchor that operates more quietly, but more powerfully. The comparison to back home. When you grew up in a country where a good monthly salary was the equivalent of 300 pounds, spending 2,000 pounds a month on rent in London feels normal because of how wealthy it would make you feel back home. The anchor is wrong. The city you're in requires a completely different financial calibration. Breaking an anchor requires explicitly asking, what is the actual value here? Independent of any number I've already been shown. That one question can save you thousands of pounds per year. In 1976, the British and French governments faced a decision. The Concorde supersonic jet project had already cost billions of pounds. It was years behind schedule. New analysis showed that even if they completed it, it would never be commercially profitable. The smart financial decision, the one that any rational analyst would recommend, was to stop, cut losses, move on. They kept going. They spent billions more. They launched Concorde, operated it at a loss for decades, and finally retired it in 2003. The project never made money. But because so much had already been invested, stopping felt psychologically impossible. This is the sunk cost fallacy. The tendency to continue investing in something because of what you've already put in, rather than because of what it's likely to produce going forward. And it is devastatingly common in personal finance. You stay in a bad investment because you've already lost 30%, and selling now would make it real. You keep paying for a course you never use because you already paid for it. You stay in a business that is slowly bleeding money because you've put 5 years of your life into it. You continue funding a relative's failing enterprise because you've already given them 20,000 pounds, and stopping now feels like admitting it was wasted. The money, the time, the energy, they are gone. They cannot be recovered regardless of what you do next. The only question that matters is this. Given where things stand right now, what is the best decision going forward? That question, ruthlessly applied, is worth more than any investment tip, because it frees you from the past. It puts your eyes back where they belong, on the future. And in financial terms, the future is the only place where money actually lives. 6 traps. 1 solution framework. Here's how it works. The biggest mistake people make when they learn about behavioral economics is thinking the answer is to try harder, to be more disciplined, to fight their psychology with willpower. This almost never works, because willpower is a finite resource that depletes under stress, and financial stress depletes it fastest. The real solution is to design a financial system that makes the right behavior automatic and makes the wrong behavior difficult. This is called choice architecture, and it is how the most financially successful people in the world actually operate. Not through superior discipline, through superior systems. Here's what that looks like practically. To beat present bias, set up an automatic investment transfer that goes out the day your salary lands. Your present self never sees that money. It goes directly to your future self. Non-negotiable, invisible, automatic. To beat social comparison, unfollow or mute accounts and group chats that trigger spending impulses. This isn't weakness. It's environmental design. To beat overconfidence, commit to a simple index fund strategy and write down in advance the specific circumstances under which you are allowed to change it. Anything that doesn't meet those criteria gets ignored. To beat loss aversion, automate rebalancing so you never have to make emotional decisions during market downturns. To beat anchoring, always research the market value of anything before you see the price. Salary, rent, cars. Know your number first. To beat sunk cost, once a year, review every ongoing financial commitment and ask, if I were starting fresh today, would I choose this? If the answer is no, make a plan to exit. These aren't complicated. They are boring, systematic, and they work. I want to leave you with something that goes beyond tactics. There is a reason why understanding your own psychology is the most important financial skill you can develop. And it's not just about money. Every single trap we talked about today, loss aversion, present bias, social comparison, overconfidence, anchoring, sunk cost, every single one of them operates in your career, in your relationships, in your health decisions, in the way you raise your children, in the way you think about your own potential. Loss aversion is why you stay in the job you hate instead of pursuing the career you want. Present bias is why you keep saying you'll start tomorrow. Social comparison is why you measure your success by other people's visible markers instead of your own deeply held values. Overconfidence is why you don't invest in the skills that would actually transform your life. Anchoring is why you accept the first salary they offer. Sunk cost is why you stay in situations long after they've stopped serving you. When you learn to see these patterns, really see them in real time as they're happening, you gain a kind of freedom that most people never experience. You stop being controlled by impulses you don't understand. You start making decisions that actually align with what you want your life to look like. The South Asian community has an extraordinary legacy of resilience, of building from nothing, of sacrificing comfort today for something better tomorrow. That is literally the opposite of present bias. It is the most powerful financial psychology that exists. You already have it. You were raised by people who had it. The only thing missing was the knowledge to aim it properly. Now you have that too. 6 mental traps. 6 ways your own brain has been quietly working against your financial future. Let me name them one final time so they stick. Loss aversion. The fear of losing hurts twice as much as the joy of winning. Present bias. Your present self constantly steals from your future self. Social comparison. You spend to impress people who are spending to impress you. Overconfidence. Past success in one area makes you reckless in others. Anchoring. The first number you hear shapes every number that follows. Sunk cost. What you've already lost keeps you from seeing clearly what to do next. None of these make you weak. None of these make you foolish. They make you human. They are the universal firmware that runs on every brain on Earth, regardless of intelligence, education, or income. But here's what makes you different from most people who will never hear any of this. You know now. And knowledge is the only thing in the world that once you have it, nobody can take away. This week, I want you to do one thing. Just one. Pick the trap from this list that you recognize most clearly in your own behavior. Write it down. Write down one recent financial decision where it operated. And write down one system you could put in place this week to make it harder for that trap to catch you again. That's it. One trap, one decision, one system. Small changes applied consistently produce extraordinary results. That's not motivation poster nonsense. That is literally how compound interest works, applied to habits, to knowledge, to the slow, steady rewiring of a brain that was never broken, just pointed in the wrong direction. Subscribe and come back next day.